is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info.
All right, thank you so much for staying with 95.1 Nigeria Info, and welcome to the Monday edition of the show. Today, the 5th of June, 2023, and I hope you had a well-rested weekend. You recharged your batteries, you're kind of like invigorated to go through whatever the week presents. You know how life throws curveballs, so whatever comes your way, you can surmount it. I want to believe you have that energy level as we speak. You know, it's about 10 minutes after 3. Some people are feeling deflated, but hey, it's too soon in the week to do that. Still Monday. So charge yourself up and be productive. That's what I'm saying. Welcome to Hard Fact, Abuja. My name is Kimberly Nwachukwu. Call me the Oracle, the Digital Oracle, OTF, Madam Speaker, the Fellow, or Chanyawa of Nigeria Info FM, and I will respond to them all positively. We got a man in black here. Itodo, hi.
Hi, Kim. Happy Monday to you. There's so much happening right now, and I think the energy level is it's not there yet. Even for me, I'm like, come on, what is going on? The weekend was something.
Is it the fuel hike? Is it responsible, directly, indirectly responsible?
Indirectly responsible, yes, because you think about how you have to spend double the rate of what you would spend normally on every other thing, and the fact that the prices of different goods and services have gone through the roof right now, and you can't fault these people for doing that. You just have to try to go with the times and see how you can adjust or cut down. Cut down is even the thing right now. Cut down on things that you used to do before. You can't do it anymore. And I tried to walk one of those days. I liked it. For some weird reason.
What's the distance?
It wasn't a lot, just a little distance. It was okay. It was. I walk normally, but walking for a different reason right now was what made it special. So I
avoid intense exercise. If I walk some distance for 2 days, I kind of lose weight so fast. So I avoid those kind of intensity. So I need fuel at an affordable rate so that I can be driving there and not walking down there.
We're looking forward to the conversation going on between the government right now and the TUC to see how things change, if at all it would change, because different the NLC is looking at going on a strike, while bodies are saying might as well just reach a conclusion, an agreement, meet in the middle and see how things can work out. But we're hoping that in good time, palliatives, as the case may be, there's a bit of a breach to that, and Nigerians are able to handle this situation we're currently going, because everyone is hit by it. Everyone, literally everyone hit by it.
Indeed. So we'll see how it goes. A curious question is, why wasn't the NLC at the meeting they had over the weekend? The TLC was present, but NLC shunned the federal meeting. Electricity workers also have shown that they are going to be a part of the strike, and it's all building up to Wednesday. And we'll be talking about that with a guest who will be joining us virtually for this conversation. I think we have our guest with us.
Yeah, he's trying to connect right now. I think he's on at this time. We'll be having Abiodun Alade, who is a journalist with Daily Times, and together we'll talk about the big stories making the rounds today. It's a Monday. There's so much that happened over the weekend, Kim, and for the electricity strike, that's not something we want to grapple with right now. But different bodies and different factions and organizations are looking at joining the strike, even though some state NLC organizations and bodies are backing out of the strike. So everybody has got a different reason as to why they want to embark on this strike. So we'll see how all of this plays out.
Indeed, we will. Once we get our guests, just to be sure, just give us a second or two to confirm that our guest has joined us and can hear us crystal clear, and we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. right, we have our guest Abiodun Alade who will be joining us for the roundtable today as we look at some of the big stories driving conversation. Just to be sure that our guest can hear us. Good afternoon.
Can you kindly unmute yourself so you can we can hear you when you speak?
All right, let's find a way of letting our guest know that his mic is muted.
All right, you can join us live. We're live right now on Facebook and YouTube at Nigeria Info Abuja. So do to subscribe to our YouTube platform right now and catch up on all our live sessions. But we're live right now and you can join the conversation on the roundtable using both platforms. While we wait for our guest to unmute his mic and maybe get settled, he would be able to weigh in on the different conversations that we'll be having on the roundtable today.
Indeed. All right, so let's just look at some of the proposal put forward by the Trade Union Congress. They presented the federal government with a list of demands to cushion the effect of petrol subsidy removal on citizens. The demand includes an increase in the minimum wage, tax holiday for certain categories of people, as well as reverting to status quo as negotiations continue. While the government acknowledged the feasibility of the demand, they said the demand will be presented to President Bola Tinubu with immediate effect. The federal government delegation held a meeting with representatives of organized labor, excluding the Nigerian Labour Congress, at the presidential villa Abuja on Sunday night. And Dele Alake, spokesperson for the government's delegation to the meeting, told House correspondents after the meeting that most of the demand are not impracticable and they will be tabled before the president. And like I said, the president's decision would be relayed to labor leaders at the next round of negotiation, which is fixed for tomorrow. And asked if the other demand by the organized labor that the new pump price of petrol be reversed pending conclusion of negotiation. Like I said, the decision would likely be taken on Tuesday when both sides meet again. Now, on NLC's absence, they said it may be attributed to the inability. All right. Good to know that our guest can hear us.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello, can you hear us? Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much, Mr. Alade, for making our time to join us on the roundtable today as we look at some of the big stories. Please let us know if you can hear us crystal clear. We're still getting some static from your end. Hello?
Hello. I didn't get the question, please.
I wanted to be sure. You can hear us crystal clear. Is it clear?
I can't.
All right.
Yes.
Yours is there's a delay, but we'll see how we can make this happen to going through the story. So welcome again to the roundtable. We're starting off with the report of the meeting between the TUC and the federal government and the demand that the TUC put forward, asking for an increase in minimum wage, tax holiday for certain categories of people, as well as reverting to status quo as negotiation continues, in which the spokesperson of the government said it's not impracticable and they will take it back to the president and circle back on Tuesday. Now, the NLC wasn't present at the meeting for some reason, and I said it just might be attributed to the inability to finalize with the neck of the union before the meeting. Nonetheless, negotiation will continue with all labor union and stakeholders. And speaking to journalists, Festus Osifo, TUC president, said while some progress have been made with the negotiation, the union will still brief its member ahead of Tuesday's meeting, which is the latest we're getting. So let's just get your take on this. The demand that TUC is putting, we haven't heard if that NLC is all right. The sound is really...
Mr. Alade, we're having a bit of an issue hearing you. There seems to be like a static sound coming from your end. Is it possible that you readjust? Let's see if that improves your connection.
Okay. Is it better?
Not quite. It's not better. We can hear you slightly, but then the static sound takes away from your voice. I think it's a lot improved now. Can you hear us?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you.
All right then.
Can you hear me?
Okay, let's make this work. It's improved a bit, not completely. But yeah, the demand that the TUC is putting, we haven't heard from the NLC, but the TUC is saying review salary, tax holiday, revert to the old price until the negotiations are done. I'm a little curious as to what you make of the demand they're putting to the government at this point in time. Dele Alake saying it's not impracticable. It's something they would definitely go back over. But you think that's enough to just assuage Nigerians at this point in time?
Well, I think it is a good way to start. And this is what I expected the government to have done earlier. And if you are listening to what the national chairman of the NLC complained about, was that the government decided to announce the price adjustment during negotiation when they have not concluded on their negotiation. So the right way to go, because when we talk about the issue about fuel, it affects almost every sector of our economy. So what we need to do is to give room for negotiation, give room for dialogue, then all of us can come to the table and agree. The obvious thing is that if you ask, almost all Nigerians agree that we need to do away with fuel subsidy. But if we are going to do away with it, we need to have some policy. Government need to make some conceptions. Government need to come up with some things that can assuage the pain of Nigerians. So, and I think some of these things that the TUC have suggested are part of those things that will help us. But most importantly, I also think that government needs to look into the area of mass transportation, especially for the masses, for the low-income earners. So government needs to look into. Government needs to also look at cutting down the cost of governance. You cannot ask Nigerians to make sacrifice. Now tell us, what is the sacrifice that the president will be making? What is the sacrifice that ministers, that senators, lawmakers will be making? If lawmakers will still be getting the jumbo pay, if they will still be getting the type of allowances that we hear about, then why are you asking the man that get 30,000 naira to be the one to make the sacrifice? So we need to begin to ask ourselves, what are some of the things that the government will also do to also make sure that they actually with the cost of government, that we don't end up taking this money that we want to save from fuel and subsidy to be financing just less than 2% of our population because we have elected them into position of authorities.
Well, that's a vivid picture. I mean, if you're looking at the less than 2%, because this percentage you're looking at, they get certain entitlement, privileges, free fuel, free electricity, and all of the largesse that come to occupying that office. So they might not feel the brunt directly, like the average 30,000 naira earner would feel, or the middle class, which is thinning out, by the way. And yeah, so you're saying some of these things should have been attended to before then, in terms of the palliative.
Yes.
But just to look at the perspective,
they should have been attended to.
Okay, should have been attended to.
All right, but let's get to understand what the NLC is saying right now, stating that there is no going back as they're insisting on the strike. And the former NLC deputy president, Mechi Asuguni, while speaking on Monday, said there is no going back on the proposed strike scheduled for Wednesday, June 7th. 2023. Now, he asserted that that is the only way out for Nigerians, while also claiming that the new administration has not handled the subsidy removal process in the proper way. Now, the Labor Relations Consultant noted that Nigerians know a lot about the process of subsidy and expect the government to have a running refinery to carry out the removal. Now, earlier on, when the subsidy removal was announced, TUC and IPMAN stated that they would not agree to that until the refineries are working and other palliatives are put in place, because taking it out just because there's a need to save costs will do more harm than good. But seeing the way things are playing out right now, what do you say on this insistence to go on with the strike? What good would it do to the Nigerian economy when all of these bodies decide to shut down business?
Well, it is sad that we have to go through this part. I believe that if the government have allowed for negotiation before announcing the new price regime, there would not have been any reason for NSC to threaten going on strike. If you look at our economy, one thing that we should try to actually avoid is going on strike. Industrial action for our economy. Nigeria is falling.
Mr. Alade, is it possible for you to readjust? The static sound is a bit
is interfering.
Interfering with what you're saying, so I'm barely making out what you're saying. But what we'll do right now is we'll go on a break, and when we come back, hopefully your connection will be a lot improved. All right, let's go on this break.
Audio Jungle.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
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 This is Nigeria Info.
Up, and a lot of other variables responding to the fuel price increase, in which even Adams Oshomole, former Edo State Governor and Senator-elect, says yes, indeed, they understand that there will be hardship caused by the petrol subsidy removal. However, he did say government has a solution, and that solution is what we hope to see, and perhaps hear some of the update by Tuesday. Now, the question as to what the impact of a strike, if we shut down the nation, the workforce, the public sector by Wednesday, what implication would it have on the economy? Wouldn't it compound the situation, was the question Itodo put forward to our guests. Let's hope that it's clearer enough for our guests to respond at this point in time. Mr. Abiodun Alade, is it... Okay, go ahead. Let's see if we can get you better now. Hopefully it's clearer.
Okay. So, okay.
This is better. This is perfect.
Like I was saying before. Okay. Okay. Before we went on the break, I said the issue of industrial action is something that we need to try as much as possible to avoid, because our economy does not need it now. The economy is bleeding, and any industrial action we have adverse effects on the economy is going to have adverse effect on the people. But the unfortunate thing is that because the government decided to announce the new price regime outside the negotiation that it was holding with the various bodies, that was why the NSC decided to go on strike. And that is why they are threatening, because they have this fear that if they allow this to go, they might not be able to negotiate favorably with the government. So, the NSC do have this idea that one area to actually bring government to the negotiation table is when you threaten industrial action. But I want to appeal to both the government and the NSC to consider the masses, to consider the economy, for us to look at how can we meet, how can we have a point of meeting. What are the immediate thing that government can actually appeal to the NLC, and what are those other things that the NLC also give, in a win-win situation, so that we don't creep our economy. I know one of the things that the NLC is insisting on is that government need to go back to the old price. But you and I know that will be difficult. That will automatically create scarcity, because most of the independent marketers will now decide to hold the product. So, and people will end up buying it for, even higher than the new price regime. So this is the point that I think wisdom needs to prevail on both parties. Let wisdom prevail. What are the immediate things that the government can announce? You cannot be asking somebody, if the minimum wage in our country is 30,000 naira. It does not make sense that people are a liter of petrol for as high as 500 naira, 570. You and I know that people that get this 30,000 naira, there are people that will work, people that will have their place of work in FCT, but they be living in Suleta, they will be living in Lafia. People that will be working in Lagos, and they will be living in Yanopaja, outskirts. So we have to consider this, and that's why I totally agree with the NLC. The government is being unfair to the masses. But then we also have to consider that this decision has been taken. What can we do to avoid scarcity? What can we do to avoid artificial scarcity from the marketers? Because marketers, businessmen, we always want to profit from every situation. So that is why I think both parties need to go back. Can we agree? Can we have a win-win so that the economy can actually...
What would the win-win be? Where's the middle ground here? Hello?
Well, for me, I think maybe the middle ground would be for... hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Go ahead, sir. Hello?
Okay, so I think part of the middle ground for now will be for government to look at the reduction in price.
Okay.
Not that I'm not sure we can go back to the old regime, but can we have a reduction? Something that is not as high. Maybe something like a 50% increase, or maybe at most 70%, because what we had was way more than 100%.
About 175% increase.
Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yes, so if we can have about 70, 50%, 20% increase, maybe it's going to be favorable. And then government can start promising the NSC, okay, let's start negotiating new minimum wages. Let's see how we can increase. Let's see how we can come up with mass transportation. And sincerely, I think it's because most of our governors are lazy, because most of our states in Nigeria are civil service state. You know, where what you have is that most of the people are work with the government. So what is it going to cost government to encourage mass transportation? Have so people can easily move, for instance, from Suleja to FCT should not be difficult.
All right, I think we're having.
You know, if we can have that local manufacturer, like can we agree? Can we have an agreement with them and say, okay, can workers be able to get cars at a subsidized rate? You know, at a rate that they can spread maybe for 5 years, so that somebody that is earning 60,000 naira can easily acquire a car, but then spread the money over 5 years. So that way we're able to actually reduce. People don't have to, you know, Nigeria is actually one of the countries that I've seen in this world that if you want to build a house, you know, you build it from your salary at a go. You want to buy a car, you buy.
You have to pay cash from pocket. Yeah.
Yes, you know, those things encourages corruption. They do it. But if I know I can get my car and I can pay it, you know, for 5 years conveniently, I know for my salary for the next 5 years, this amount of money. So things that government need to come up with, things that can simulate the economy. Then can we also have local production? You know, we need to be sincere.
All right, I think we're having challenge with the network. It seems to be going. Hello.
Should not be able to function.
Can you hear us, Mr. Alade? There seems to be an issue with your connection right now. It was working just fine, and then boom, you know, things just go. It's a bit distorted. Hello.
Oh.
Okay, I think you sound a lot.
Hello, I can hear you.
All right. Let's get into something that you mentioned earlier, and this is about the minimum wage. Now, you brought the state governors into the equation right now, and we know they play a huge role in terms of ensuring that the pressure is not just on the federal government. If the minimum wage were to be increased or improved on, for instance, we know that some states are not even paying the 30,000 naira minimum wage right now, and some states are also heavily indebted. How would governors be able to ensure that they are not the ones who take us steps backwards if the minimum wage were to be improved on, just to be able to ensure that more Nigerians are able to handle the removal of fuel subsidy? Did you get the question?
Well, I think that with the removal of I think that with the removal of fuel subsidy, say we get more money from the federal allocation account, that we get more money. So what most of us, what the state need to do is to cut down on the cost of governance, is to do away with all these unnecessary spendings, that do not add anything to the state. Spendings that just has to do with some people coming to give award to the governor, you know, to give award to this, and then they will just budget on.
Oh dear. All right.
You know, those are things that we need to do. Those are things that do not add value to our economy. Those are things that. Hello.
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead. We lost your sound for a bit there.
If we are able to, if able to do away with the unnecessary spending, I think governors we have that money to be able to pay. You know, and then to also try to see how they can make governance. You know, people that are working for this service, how they can make any shape. You see, let us be sincere with ourselves. When they complain that they don't have money to pay.
All right, Mr. Alade, let's
have you ever had any say that are having difficulty paying their commissioners? You know, this state will not be able to pay civil servant their 30,000 naira. But then they will be able to fly to UK to attend one ceremony. You know, we have to be sincere with ourselves.
So it's basically cutting down cost of governance at this point in time. And just before we move on to the next story, Kwara State is doing something, well, different. They're cutting down work days and saying work 3 days for now until we have all of this under control. The reduced work day to 3 days for workers. I don't know. Is this helping productivity in any way if people have to work 3 days instead of 5 days just to cushion the effect? I mean, it feels like that's the best plan the state has at this point in time. What do you make of it? Something that should be discouraged, or there should be other ways of going about it?
For me, sincerely, I think this is just lazy man way of thinking. This is a lazy man way of thinking. Except if the governor or if the state can come up with a system where people can work from home and work from home effectively. You know, these are states that are struggling and they don't even have good IGL. And you're asking people to work 3 days. You know, I don't know how of our governors, how they think. I don't know the people that advise them. You know, let us, is it that, you know, and if you know that your ministries are not working, why don't you scrap them? Instead of you just asking people to, you know, work 3 days, let's be sincere. If the governor has his own personal business, will he ask people to work 3 days? When he has not produced or when he has not provided the medium with which they can work from home effectively? Of course, we know we have some private organizations that you can work from home, but they have already enabled a system that will make you to be able to work effectively. Not just that you just sit at home, that you only come to office on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and then you are just home. Free day, Tuesday and Thursday. No, it doesn't make sense. Right. I do not subscribe to this. I think this is just a lazy man way of thinking. They need to think out of the box, or even let them even think within the box that we have now before they start thinking out of the box. We should think within the box. The other thing that they say can do. A state like Kwara should not find it difficult to mobilize mass transportation. If you are working at the state capital and you are living maybe not because you know that I know that I will get to a bus somewhere. The bus will take back to my place of work. And I know when I after work, that's with me first. So they think about the way that you can reduce, you know, those expenses.
All right.
So not by you know, you are just encouraging people not to be productive. You're encouraging people to be lazy.
All right.
Yeah, but
that is not what I'm
Mr. Alade, in their defense, yes, going to work every day doesn't necessarily mean that you're productive or giving your 100. Is it possible that the Kwara State governor or government thinks that 3 days in a week is good enough to ensure that they achieve all their goals for the week, and the other 2 days can be used wherein those people are encouraged to do personal things for themselves? Because 5 days a week doesn't guarantee anything. I mean, in 2021, the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, at the time, encouraged a 4-day work week just so that people are able to get an extra day for their weekend and to do other things with themselves.
They actually said farming and something productive, not like just lounge at home.
Well, you see, for me, let us be sincere. For those of us that we have worked in organized system, you know that there is a KPI. You know, there are ways that they are able to assess your performance if you have done what is expected of you for that particular day.
Yeah.
You know, for Nigerians that have been able to travel out of the country, they will tell you that, you see, the way we work in Nigeria is not the way they work abroad. Let's be sincere with ourselves. For people that have had the opportunity to leave this country and work in the UK, work in the US, they will tell you, if you have to work for 4 hours, you will work. You will do your work. You cannot be working and then decide to visit the next office and be gossiping about one movie or one. You know, it's not possible, because they have been able to put the system in place that the system recognize that you can work for 4 hours and you'll be able
productive.
to achieve your deliverables. Yes, but we don't have that system in Nigeria. That is why people will always tell you that part of the problem that we have in this country is our civil service. Go to any office. Most of the government offices, don't let me say go to any. Most. You will see 3-4 person carrying only just one file. And it will take them, in fact, hours to be able to actually deliver. You go to a private organization, you see people working effectively. Those are things that I expect the government, the NGF, to thinking about that. How can we make our civil service more productive? How can we ensure that we support the staff, that we deploy them to where they will be useful? Not just that people just sit. There are some civil servants that they go to the office and they do little. They just go there just to mark attendance. In fact, there are people that they go after marking the attendance, they leave the office and go and do their personal business. That is why most states are struggling with their IGR.
All right.
But when you come to a state like Lagos State, then you begin to see that to a particular level, the civil service is a bit working. And and this thing is affecting us. Even when you go to our general hospitals, you see the way they attend to you, and when you go to a private hospital, you see the way they attend to you. It's because the system encourages people to be lazy. There is no accountability. There is no way of checkmating people. Either they have done what those things that are expected of them or not. So that is what we need to put in place.
All right.
It does not matter that people work for just a day in a week or 5 days in a week. If your system encourage them to be lazy, they will spend the 5 days doing nothing.
All right.
And if your system encourage them to be accountable, they will work for a day and they
be
will
productive.
achieve what other people, yes.
All right, Mr. Alade. Well, let's look at some comment quickly. Then we'll get to what Serap is proposing, because Serap is calling for a probe. But let's look at a few thoughts that have come in based on our conversation from when we started with you on Facebook, WhatsApp, and we're streaming live on Instagram also. Let's look at some of their thoughts.
All right, so Kanglo Oladeji Daniel says, I want to know what the reason is for subsidizing things for the masses, because I left for just this morning at the rate of 5,000 naira instead of 2,500 or 3,000. I am not a civil servant. I do business, and it was radically affected almost everything that we do nowadays. Sincerely, I'm not happy with this development. And Halidu Isa says, should we should let go of subsidy once and for all so that all Nigerians can rest. And Aleto Bege says, the situation right now is terrible. The government must be sincere with its dealings. A lot of Nigerians do not trust the statements that emanate from the government due to its antecedents. How will the removal of subsidy affect or benefit the ordinary Nigerian when we aren't seeing anything on ground to cushion the effect that comes with a hike in petrol? Zuba, to beggar in Abuja is 1,000 naira. May Nigeria work? And Oludade Abiodun says, government and Labour should reach an agreement urgently. I also want to advise Labour not to politicize the issue.
And God's Power F. Young is watching us live. Andrew Akpan, good to be here. Let's see, Ibrahim Hajara, we see you. Oludade, we already read your message. Ifi Emmy Williams says, good afternoon. The issue of subsidy removal. Nigerian government is like a father who makes money and spend it extravagantly. When things go through, he expects the children to, make sacrifices by hawking product to make ends meet. That's his 2 cents there. And here, good afternoon. Welcome to another beautiful week. Just the issue of subsidy has not been friendly, but I know would come out stronger soon. Osita Prince from Kuwa's take there. And if the government obliged to reduce the current fuel price hike, does it mean fuel subsidy is still being paid for? That's what someone else wants to know. Why is it that civil servants are usually prioritized ahead of people in the private sector? Subsidy palliative argument. What happens to artisans and other people who don't benefit from minimum wage? It's time the private sector is also prioritized. Kelvin for Maraba. Mr. Abiodun, that's also something, because when we're talking about review of minimum wage, which is what TUC put forward, nobody's talking about the 33.2% unemployment bracket, and that we're dealing with people who are in between jobs and are not earning anywhere, and people who are in that level of underemployment, who are even getting less than the minimum wage at this point. We know that for an average person who earns, you have dependents who are not earning that you have to cater for. So it's not just a straight line. It's a bit, I don't know how to describe it. I'm just demonstrating with my hands because we're not looking at this
It's a
demographic.
zigzag.
Yeah. The 800 billion from the World Bank was for poor and vulnerable household. Does that cover the entirety of the unemployed that we have in the country, seeing that they're heavy dependent ratio also? Hello, Mr. Abiodun.
Well, we have to face reality. Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Can you hear me?
Go
Yeah.
ahead, please. Yes.
Okay. So we have to face the reality. Yeah. The reality is that LNC to TUC, they are speaking for the workers, for the unions that are under them.
Yeah.
And there are some other private organizations as well that allow their staff to join NLC or TUC.
Yeah.
So obviously, if the government should increase the minimum wage, private organizations, especially those ones that are registered, those ones that are recognized, they will also have to do something. But of course, we all know what all these things will lead to. It's going to lead to inflation. People have started complaining. Cost of things will obviously goes up. We have to face those realities. We have to face that things will be difficult. People will struggle to be able to make ends meet, and that is why we are asking the government as well to make sacrifice. It is the reality, and what we also want the government to do is that, because one of the ideas now is that with the removal of the subsidy, we'll be able to save 1 trillion naira that we will have spent on subsidizing this product. So the government needs to explain to us, how do they intend to spend this money? Are they going to invest it?
Spending money, you're making it sound as if we have the money sitting pretty somewhere. There's no money. It's been borrowing to fend for this, going by the position of the government.
But now they are not going to borrow. The government won't borrow. It won't be a burden on you. And no piece will the price. So for everything, it's not a part to be able to declare profit. And those are the areas that we need to push us to ensure that somebody will not invest the money. So that this sacrifice that we are making end up in people private accounts. But the reality is that it's difficult. Prices are going up every.
Yeah. Oh dear. We were speaking with Abiodun. He's a journalist with the Daily Trust, and some of the big stories driving conversation where we were hoping to reconnect. Hello.
Cost of transportation, help them to so.
Oh dear. All right, Mr. Lade, we're getting some issues, but let's get to him as we're waiting on the phone line. All right.
From the TUC.
Hello, Mr. Lade. Let's. You went off for a second, so we. All right then.
Good afternoon.
It's Kimberly. Good afternoon.
Sorry, Kim. Forgive. I don't know. My clip was gone.
Good afternoon.
My name. I'm calling from Uteson State.
Olajide. Let's just be sure that our guests can hear. Abiodun, can you hear Olajide? Go ahead, Olajide.
Thank you, Madam Kim. There is one fact that we used to say on this station. Madam Kim, is it the way we are yesterday? Where we are today, we are going to be tomorrow. I could remember when the next 2.50 kobo, how many people built houses? And there was serious complaint of scarcity of money at that time as well. But look at the time now. Rent is almost 6,000 naira. You can see construction going every day from government, private, individual. That's to tell you that nothing is, the world is moving forward. You're getting it. And it is on these people complaining. Government are not increasing. There is this. Now go to increase money. People say, no, increase money.
All right, Olajide.
We stand.
All right.
They almost in salary to commemorate with what we do now.
All right.
That is the way we. God bless Nigeria. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Let's see, we need to go on break, but let's look at 2 messages and then go break.
All right, good afternoon to you. Talk about it with and Master P says, I cannot see the fuel price being reduced. Trust me, NLC go far with this. I have made some personals already. I spend 1,600 per day for my transportation. Multiply this by 21, I miss much of my salary just for transportation. Some of the leaders of the NLC bought over, but stand fight for this. Master P. And Triple D from Maris, if our leaders truly have the fear of God and want to change, they won't go about doing the way they are doing. When are we going to get right? God bless Nigeria.
On a quick break, we'll be back with more.